One thing that I have been noticing with Ripple is the expanding spree that they are on. They are expanding globally, and I think that this is something that every single XRP holder should be watching, because we do know that Ripple is making sure to keep XRP at the core of everything that they are doing. If that is the case, if Ripple is actually taking over globally, which right now it seems as though they are, that means that XRP is also along with them on this journey. This is a very significant thing to pay attention to. I want to start off by going back to the announcement with the UK license that they got from the FCA. We have here that yet another major step forward, proud to announce the approval of our EMI license and crypto asset registration from the UK's FCA. A big thing that a lot of people missed here was not just the license in the UK, but also the EMI license in the EU. This is a very important one to focus on. Here we have the big update from Ripple regarding it. We've secured our preliminary electronic money institution license approval from Luxembourg's Commission des Surveillance du Secteur Financier, CSSF. This is a pivotal step towards scaling Ripple payments across the EU, bringing institutional-grade digital asset infrastructure to the region. The momentum is global, 75 plus licenses and registrations worldwide, 95 billion plus in volume processed to date, reaching 90% of the daily FX markets. With the EU taking the lead in building a regulatory framework for digital assets, we are helping institutions transition from pilots to commercial scale, and we are bridging the gap between legacy finance and the digital future to unlock trillions in dormant capital. Now, listen closely to this video clip, and then I will continue to highlight exactly why we are now seeing this at this moment and the steps that were taken in order to get to this point.
I'm Cassie Craddock, VP and Managing Director of the UK and Europe at Ripple, and I'm thrilled to announce that we've been granted our license to bring our crypto-enabled cross-border payment solution to the European Union. European customers can now access real-time settlement, global on and off ramps, and last-mile payouts, and it's all managed end-to-end using Ripple's market-leading digital asset technology. The region is striding into the future of digital finance, and Ripple is here to power it.
So yeah, listen, they are expanding rapidly, and they are expanding their digital asset tech stack. This is a very important thing to focus on. I've said this many times over that you need to pay attention to what Ripple is doing in these key areas. They want to expand into specific use cases. For an example, in the UK, we know that the FX market is 100% in their scope. That's what they are going after. But the major thing that we look at here is from Casey as well. We have a massive week for Ripple in Europe. Hot on the heels of our UK FCA electronic money institution license and crypto asset registration, which came through on Friday, we've now also received preliminary approval for an EMI license from Luxembourg's CSSF. Luxembourg's sophisticated and progressive regulatory environment makes it a premier hub for financial innovation, and our preliminary approval there will allow us to scale our pioneering digital asset infrastructure to clients across the European Union. Regulatory clarity is the key to institutional adoption, and Ripple is leading the way. This is very exciting. And like I said, this is two key areas. Obviously, the UK and the EU, very large markets that they are now going after because of this. This is a very exciting time to be focused on the moves Ripple is making. Now, before we really dive on into this, I just want to let you guys know that I Trust Capital is one of the best places to go and buy and sell crypto along with gold and silver, especially for your IRA future. The IRA plan is tax advantaged, so you could buy and hold crypto in a tax advantage account. And the best part is they also have premium custody accounts, which if you guys are worried about holding your crypto on possibly an exchange, or maybe you want to move away from cold storage or even diversify a little bit, their premium custody account is one of the best in the game. If you guys do want to go check them out, there's going to be a link down in the description below as well as in the comments below. And with that being said, let's dive on in to the breakdown here. So this is the full update. Ripple expands European regulatory footprint with preliminary EMI approval in Luxembourg. So the overall scope of this, right, is the significance around Ripple's products. Yes, this is going to allow them to scale its cross-border payments infrastructure across Europe and to support institutions there that possibly want to move from legacy technology to seamless real-time 24/7 payments based around digital asset technology. I'm very excited about this. I think that this is huge. And again, we're at the beginning phases of the building blocks falling into place around the Ripple stack. Now, on top of this, we do know that they have the UK EMI license as well. So this really reinforces that, along with the 75 regulatory licenses that they hold around the world. The EU was amongst the first major jurisdictions to introduce comprehensive digital asset regulation, which provides the certainty financial institutions need to move blockchain from pilots to commercial scale. By extending Ripple's licensing portfolio and evolving our payment solution, we are doing more than just moving money. We are managing the end-to-end flow of value to unlock trillions in dormant capital and moving legacy finance into a digital future. Ripple Payments is a licensed end-to-end cross-border payment solution, which we already kind of know the full breakdown. Thanks to the CSSF's progressive and sophisticated approach to supervision, Luxembourg is establishing itself as a premier hub for financial innovation by providing the harmonized framework and legal certainty that our industry needs. Gaining our preliminary approval is a pivotal step, enabling Ripple to provide essential blockchain infrastructure to clients across the EU by prioritizing compliant operations. Ripple is empowering the region's businesses to lean into the next era of financial innovation. So this is essentially a green light across the board for Ripple to expand in key areas. Obviously, they have offices around the world, as you guys can see here. I would argue that 2025 and 2026 have been two of the most successful years for Ripple ever. Now, we knew that this was in the works. How did we know that this, along with the UK's license, how do we know that these two were in the works? Well, it's because of Casey's X account. This is why I always say to follow these employees from Ripple. Here we have a meeting back in October. This was at a roundtable discussing the current state of digital asset landscape and its competitiveness here in Europe. Here we have the UK FCA, along with the European Commission, and also the ESMA. This is the future of digital market infrastructure on an international perspective. Now, on top of that, we know over here as well, with MiCA now rolled out across the EU, nations like Luxembourg have the opportunity to take a global lead when it comes to developing their local digital assets industry. This was on October 9th. So we know that Ripple was meeting with these regulators, meeting in these areas with, of course, Stuart Alderoty, which, again, CLO, if he's there, they are talking about some sort of license, or they're starting to look into, regulating Ripple in these areas. So we kind of knew something was in the works. And then we also got the UK update back in September. So we knew that these two were in the works. So this is, after looking into this and studying these moves, this is all of that work being, utilized to get these licenses. So I'm very excited about this. I think that this is incredible. And then if we think about all of this combined with what Ripple has been doing, we go back to 2025. October 9th, Ripple expanded into the Kingdom of Iran. This was a huge one. And of course, yes, this does build on top of their Dubai regulatory license secured earlier this year. If we're looking at a few of the other ones, here we have Ripple expands global custody footprint into Africa as well around October 15th. Then September 9th, yes, they expanded their footprint into Spain through a new agreement with BBVA. By the way, this was most likely a selling point for Luxembourg, because if we go back to this meeting, we do know that as a result, we now see lots of banks and financial institutions such as Societe Generale and BBVA building out digital asset custody and tokenization capabilities, working with crypto natives like Ripple. So BBVA and Societe Generale were utilized as an example at these meetings, in my opinion, to really kind of sell them on, Ripple being a very disruptive force that could help innovation thrive in these key areas. But on top of that, we also have over here Ripple expanding in Japan. This is going to be happening Q1 of this year. We also have Ripple expanding global custody footprint into Middle East and with Control Alt back in July of 2025. November of 2025, Ripple's RLUSD recognized as accepted fiat reference token for use within Abu Dhabi's ADGM. On top of that, back in March, Ripple secures DFSA license to offer regulated blockchain-powered payments in the UAE. Then they also expanded on December 1st. This is through their major payment institution license with Singapore. On top of that, we go back to January of 2025, where Ripple expanded US operations with new licenses and increased customer base. And that's all through their money transmitter licenses. Again, like I said, Ripple has been expanding rapidly throughout the last 2 years. The tech stack here is the most important thing, because we know that almost every single one of these core expansions, it's not just around, oh, hey, we got our license or we expand it in these key areas. No, they are pushing blockchain enabled use cases to institutional players in these places. It's just like, the UK or even the EU. We know that they are expanding their tech stack. Digital assets are the key here. XRP is at the core of everything that Ripple is doing. Now, at the same exact time, right, we think about the partnership that they announced back in December. This was the first bank in Europe to adopt our licensed payment solution, Ripple Payments. This also hinted at the fact that we were about to get an EMI license in the EU, because again, this is a major bank adopting Ripple and their Ripple payment stack. So there's so many hints that were being dropped, but now we know that Ripple is taking over in the UK, in the EU, in the US, in Singapore, in the UAE as well. I mean, they're taking over around the world. I don't think enough people are watching this happen in real time. I remember at one point in time back in like 2021, Ripple was slightly expanding. It was more so like around South Korea. Also, Mexico was, a big place for them as well. But it was very small announcements. It wasn't this common. We are now witnessing major expansions happening extremely fast and consistently. This is clearly giving us a view into Ripple getting a green light almost on I don't want to say on a monthly basis, but it's almost on a monthly basis. If we're looking at the timeline here, we have October, multiple ones happening in October, September, August, July, November, March. I mean, this one with, Singapore was December. I mean, it's almost on a monthly basis where Ripple is expanding into key areas. And this one was a double whammy. We got the UK and the EU all in one go. This is why I think everyone, if you hold XRP, you need to be focused on what Ripple is doing here. They are on not only, an acquiring spree, but they're also on an expansion spree. I do think that this is the year of institutional adoption. I think that this is going to be the year where Ripple really starts to expand rapidly as well. And I think that we are going to see many more announcements similar to this, as well as major partnerships and potentially expansions around the XRP stack as well. I think that the institutional DeFi portal is going to be one to watch this year. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video.